Hey everybody, the GamerGuru51 here, and welcome back to another Pokemon TCG video. So today we have another deck profile for you guys, and this time, as you couldn't tell by the front, it's going to be Slaking. But we're actually going to be focusing on Slaking and Malamar in this deck because you can't really use this deck without Malamar. And this deck is rather interesting because it's an ability lock deck. It's not the best ability lock deck out there, but it's okay, it's pretty good. So let's go ahead and read what Slaking does. As long as this Pokemon is in your active slot, your opponent's Pokemon in play have no abilities except for Lazy, which is this ability right here. Not only is this Slaking really good for ability lock, it has a great attack. Discard an energy from this Pokemon, it can't attack during your next turn. So the way to make this deck work is that you attack it, do a whole bunch of damage. You can actually put on choice bands and it knocks out Buzzwole and knocks out a bunch of basic GX Pokemon. And then you try to get it out of the active and then back into the active so it can attack again. Also continuing the ability lock. So how do we make this deck work? Well, let's go ahead and show you the card, shall we? So of course we're going to have a 3-3 line of Slaking, it's a 2-3 line. So it's a 3-3 line of Slack Off, a 2 line of Vigoroth, and a 3 line of Slaking. This is basically your engine for the deck. You do play rare candy, but of course you don't usually get the rare candies on the first go. So you're going to want to try to pump up these guys as quickly as possible, and if you don't have the rare candy, then that's why we play the 2-2 line of Vigoroth. That way it will help us get the setup up faster. We play a 2-2 line of Inkay and Malamar. Can't really talk today. These guys are your engine for energy acceleration. Slaking has to get rid of an energy in order to attack, and in order to do the energy acceleration, you would bring the Slaking into the bench, use Malamar to accelerate energy back, and then find a way to bring it out into the active again, therefore continuing the ability lock and continuing attacking every turn. We play 2 Dawn Wings Necrozma. His ability is fantastic. It allows you to rush himself into the active, so you don't have to use your retreat in order to do so, and then you would just have to retreat back into Slaking using something that I will show you guys a little bit later, giving it free retreat. And it's a fantastic card for that reason, because it basically makes this deck work when it does. We play 1 Oranguru because Oranguru is really good. If you have less than 3 cards in your hand, you draw until you have 3. It's just a good little extra draw engine in your deck. We play a 3-3 line of rare 3-3. We play 3 copies of rare candy, of course, evolving your Slakings into Slack-Offs into Slakings without having to use the Vigoroth line. Now here is the card that allows Dawn Wings Necrozma to get free retreat. Altar of the Moon. So this card right here, your retreat cost of each Pokemon, that both yours and your opponents, that have any Psychic Energy or Darkness Energy attached to it, is 2 colorless less. So if you put an energy on Dawn Wings Necrozma and then you bring it into the active, it actually gets free retreat. So you would retreat out into Slaking with all the energy that it has on there, and it continue attacking every turn. It's rather nice. We play 3 copies of Order Pad because, as much as I hate flipping coins for anything, if it does work, you get rare candies out really quickly with this, and also any other item cards you really want. But mainly you want to use this to get out rare candies for more consistency. Now for the draw engine, we do play 4 copies of Cynthia because, of course, it is the best draw supporter in the game. No questions asked. Everyone should be playing at least 3 or 4 Cynthia. We play 4 copies of Lily. Again, another really good draw supporter, especially on the first turn. You draw 8 cards, or you draw up to 8. Wow, I can't talk. You draw until you have 8 cards in your hand on the first turn, as opposed to 6 any other turn, but still it's really good. You play 1 copy of Tate and Liza. Not only is it a good draw supporter, but it allows you to switch out your Pokemon if you need to, if you don't have all the setup you need. And I'll go over the problems with the deck in a little bit, but that's one of its huge flaws. We play 4 copies of Ultra Ball, of course, to search out your Mons. I mean, it's just search engine right there. We play 3 copies of Nest Ball. Again, same thing, search engine, searches out your Slack-Off, searches out your Dawn Wings Necrozma, and your Oranguru if you want the extra draw power. We play 1 copy of the Apricorn Maker. Since we do play a bunch of ball cards in this deck, it just gives it more consistency, and that's pretty nice. We play 2 copies of Guzma. We don't play any more than 2 in this deck because it's also a free switch of yourself into your Slaking if it's in the bench, while also switching out one of your opponent's Pokemon in the active. So it's pretty nice for that because, you know, Guzma is like a great card and everything. We play 2 copies of Switch. Same thing with Guzma. It's just another free Switch card in case you don't have all your setup needed to do the free retreats combo. We have 3 copies of Choice Band because 160 plus Choice Band knocks out a lot of basic GXs, such as Buzzwole, such as Tapu Lele, such as Rayquaza. It can knock out a lot of different things, and it's a non-GX attacker, so you're only giving away 1 prize if it's knocked out. So it's really good. We also play 1 copy of Palpad and 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher. These are just to recycle your Slakings and also to recycle your supporters that you need. They're pretty good, and you only play one of each line. As for energy in the deck, of course, finally, we do play, I believe, 6 copies of the Psychic Energy, and then we play 4 copies of Double Colorless. Double Colorless is for Slaking to do big boy damage with, while the Psychic Energy is to recycle energy from Malamar for accelerating on Slaking, and it's pretty nice, and it just gives it more consistency in the deck, and it's pretty dang good. Now, flaws. This deck has a lot of flaws. It is such a slow setup. It takes so long, especially if you don't have all the tools. You don't play Tapu Lele in this deck, so it's really hard to bring out all the things you need in one go, and you just kind of have to draw into them. Yeah, you do have a lot of draw supporters. Yeah, you have Oranguru. Yeah, you have a lot of search, but sometimes you just don't get all the cards you need in the get-go, and if you're not set up by turn 3 at the very least, you're gonna have a problem. It's going to be a hard time for you to set up fast enough for your opponent can just one-shot your Slack-offs, or even get rid of Slaking if he's not in the active. There's just too many things you need for this deck that requires it to be on the field by turn 2 or 3, and it's just so hard to get it out by that point. And by that point, your opponent is basically going to start steamrolling. It does brick quite a bit, especially if you draw Slakings and Vigorosa you don't need, especially, and even whatever. It's just not consistent. The deck is very much not consistent, and it's really hard to get it set up. But once you do have the setup, it's fantastic. And then your opponent really can't do anything, but of course you have to rely on getting that set up really quickly, because most of the time your opponent's playing a deck that's a lot faster than yours, and you need to have that set up really quickly. But that's basically the deck. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys can find a way to make it more consistent, feel free to do so. That's why I showed off the deck profile. I'm not really going to be tinkering with this deck much anymore. I just kind of wanted to show you guys what I had and see what worked and what didn't work. And the biggest problem is consistency. So if you can make this deck work and have it work really well, that'd be great. Otherwise, it's just going to be a deck I'm not going to touch anymore because it's just not consistent enough. But with that being said, everybody, thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time for another video or Pokemon trading card games or whatever I decide to upload. But on that note, I will see you guys then.